Diabetes Research Institute Foundation.
Correct.
So before we get to diabetes, what's your path? Where did you start? Where did you go? Where did you go to elementary school?
So I started off in Broward County, and I grew up in Tamarack and then Coral Springs, and then I migrated south for high school and went to Palmetto. So I'm class of '90 at Palmetto, and have for the most part stayed in the area ever since.
Where did you go to college?
I went to FIU for my undergrad, and then I did my MBA at University of Miami.
Wow, 1990.
Yes.
I went there a few years before you. Those were great. When I went, we had to go 7 to 12 or 1 to 5 because there was no Southridge.
Right.
So it was crazy. I still wish I could go back.
Crazier is I have 3 daughters. 2 of my girls are at Palmetto now.
One's a lacrosse player I saw.
She's in lacrosse. Yeah. It's a whole new building. What an experience they're going to have in a new complex, new facility.
When I went, I don't know if you know Dexter Layton.
Yeah,
he went to Palmetto.
Yes.
People don't realize it's like Palmetto's been around forever. Back then, Palmetto covered. There was no Killian. There was no Southridge. So kids from all over the county were going there.
Yep.
My brother and I grew up at 136 and 74th. Sylvia Hitchcock, Miss Universe, grew up at 77th and 136. Kendall Coffey.
Yeah.
136 and 70. Kathy Rundle grew up on 132nd and 77.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like, and then in Palmetto Bay, where you live, Manglewood, it's been there forever. I still want to know how they get the people fly over. Is that twice a year or once a year?
Once a year, they do the flyover in Manglewood for.
I don't know how it
July
happened,
4th.
but 4th of July, if you're in Palmetto Bay, flyover is like at noon, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep. So everybody gathers at the front entrance to Manglewood, and they raise the flag and watch the planes fly over. It's a really great experience growing up in.
Now, what street did you grow up on when you went to high school?
When I went to high school, I was on the corner of 77th and 122nd Street, so almost catty corner to the synagogue and across from the school.
122nd.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
When the lots were big back then.
It was, so we actually were not on a huge lot, but growing up on, in the suburbs of Broward County, where you had very small lots, like coming to South Florida, coming to Miami was like, wow, I have tons and tons of land. So it was an amazing experience.
And it's crazy. It's only 30 years ago, and those lots, they're building beautiful homes.
Oh yeah.
It's unbelievable. So who was your best friend in high school?
In high school, my best friend was a guy named Jason Wilkins.
Are you still friends?
I'm still friends with Jason. Yep. I talk to him every so often. He lives up in Tennessee and doing well with the family up there. So
it's crazy that you live in the same community. Now, we moved in that house in 1958 or 59. We lived next at Norland. I was born in Opelika, Carroll City.
Yep.
Then my parents moved down there, and that back then it was no man's land.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody lived back there. And so, all right. So you graduated, get an MBA. So you went from there to how do you get to? What's the trail to get to this?
So interesting that I have, for the most part, been in the nonprofit space my entire career. I started off when I finished FIU, and I stayed working on campus. I was the director of the Volunteer Action Center, and my role there was to literally coordinate all of the community service projects that students had to do. And I went from FIU to the American Red Cross. I was there during 9/11, so I had an opportunity to actually go up to New York City and actually volunteer my time at Ground Zero 5 days after 9/11 and after the towers came down. It was a tremendously impactful experience on my life and my career.
How old were you then?
Oh, goodness. So how old was I then? 28, 29? Yeah.
Were you married yet?
I was not married. No.
Must have been really like another world when you did it?
It was, I would wear my Red Cross vest, when I would go out of the hotel and make my way down to Ground Zero, to the headquarters where we were working at. And people on the subway would stop and they would all get up and cheer for us. Just a really unbelievable experience. But everything you saw on TV, where you'd walk by and you see the pictures of people, that were looking for their loved ones, were still up. And I mean, heartbreaking is not even the right word to describe it. I have yet to this day been able to go back to Ground Zero and actually see the museum, the 9/11 museum that's there.
How long were you there?
I was there for almost a month.
Wow. Just watching on TV, it hurt. When you're there in person.
I was able to go up and see my sister. My sister was actually in New York, attending NYU at the time. And, we couldn't get a hold of her, as many families couldn't reach relatives that were in the New York area. So we didn't know where she was or if she was okay. We knew that she was on her way to school that morning and in that area. And she was. So she saw the attacks actually happen. Thankfully, she got out. But I felt fortunate that I was able to actually go up there and be with my sister in person, to console and comfort her afterwards. But it was just an unbelievable experience.
Do you remember where you were when the first plane hit?
Yeah, I was actually working at the Red Cross here in Miami, and we were in the offices. And I remember, my team came and grabbed me and said, "You need to come and see this." And when the first plane hit, we said, "Oh, well, this must have been an accident."
That's what I thought. I was on 4 blocks that way, and it's a mistake.
Right, something happened. When the second plane hit, then we knew that there was something much more serious, taking place. So we mobilized quickly, because we didn't know what was going to be the result of the attack itself. So, we had people the next morning lining up to donate blood, of which we weren't doing at the time. So Red Cross didn't have blood services then, but we mobilized a volunteer army to go out and help raise funds. And it was just incredible.
All right. So keep going. So from Red Cross, you went where to get the diabetes?
Red Cross.
It's interesting. Perhaps people don't realize. People go, you just get this job. No, you just don't get those jobs.
Sure.
So you went from Red Cross to where?
So Red Cross, I went back to FIU, and I worked in FIU in alumni relations, and so I did that for a number of years. I went from FIU. I left to go to Barry University. From Barry, I went to American Cancer Society, where I was the executive director for South Florida. And then I went to Baptist Health. And so I actually worked not far from your building, right here. Yeah.
The mothership.
Yeah, correct. So I was at Baptist, and then I ventured out into the for-profit world for a while. So I figured, let me give that a shot. And it didn't stick with me. I need to be able to wake up every morning and feel like I'm making a difference. And I didn't feel that when I was working in the for-profit space. So I came back into the nonprofit world, and I was the chief development officer for the Parkinson's Foundation, which is also based here in South Florida. And then from there, I came into the Diabetes Research Institute Foundation.
Explain, not the foundation, exactly what diabetes is, because a lot of people don't know.
Sure.
This person has diabetes, and they go, what is diabetes, right?
Sure.
Everybody thinks they know, but what is it exactly?
So it is type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease where the body attacks basically the insulin producing cells of the pancreas and doesn't allow you to produce the insulin that you need to live. And there's there was the discussion between type 1 and type 2, right? Type 2 can be brought on by lifestyle and diet. Type 1 you cannot prevent. It's not something that you can.
So which one's more common?
So type 2 is more common than type 1, but there is now just a pandemic in and of itself with diabetes taking place in this country and really globally. It's unbelievable what's happening.
So diabetes 1 is bad eating, could be.
Type 2.
Type 2. So how do we cure that? how do we slow that down?
Well,
Like, what should I eat? What not should I eat?
So lifestyle change is really what you want to make sure that you're avoiding and watching are carbohydrates, right? Those are
You mean like
big
bread?
issues. Bread.
I got to cut out bread.
You got to cut
Pizzas. Tommy, we're in trouble.
Everything in moderation is what I say. Everything in moderation is really what it amounts to. But so the bigger issue is with type 1 diabetes, of which I have type 1. I was actually diagnosed about 4.5 years ago.
Is that why you went to this?
It's actually so it's an interesting story. So I had been diagnosed, like I said, 4.5 years ago at 44, and I come from a long line of diabetics. So there's fourth generation in my family. So my mom is a type 2. My grandfather, my great grandmother, both type 1s. And so I kind of knew it was in potential. Around. It was a potential, but I take care of myself, or at least I try and take care of myself. And the fact that I got it this late in life, I think, is a function of the fact that I was actually exercising and eating right and whatnot. But I can't avoid the genetics.
First of all, what's the web page for diabetes?
Diabetesresearch.org is.
Can you get that, Tommy?
Where you want to go? Check us out. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's watching. First, fix your eating.
If you're a type 2, you want to make sure that you are fixing your eating. If you're a type 1, you cannot prevent it. Once you're diagnosed, your body just simply attacks itself. It's really no different than other autoimmune diseases, whether that's multiple sclerosis or some of the other issues you find with autoimmune conditions, right? It's just the body doesn't know what to do with itself, and so it attacks itself.
Before we get to the foundation, so I see people, they wear this little patch.
Yes, correct.
And, you see it, you go,
yeah.
You don't want to go up and go, what is that? But I know that person is diabetic.
Correct.
So what does that little thing do?
It's a continuous glucose monitor. CGM is what we call it, and there's various products that are out there for.
It's just a
glucose
sticker.
monitoring.
It's not.
It actually is a needle that injects into the skin itself,
So
right underneath the skin, and it is constantly testing your blood sugar. With a diabetic, what you want to avoid are lows and highs, right, with your blood sugar, which both can lead to disastrous results, including death, right? So it can be a very dangerous situation if you're an unmanaged diabetic.
And who does diabetes attack first? Now, age, race, religion.
In type 1, there's no particular, demographic that I would say are more prone to diabetes. Certainly, myself being a fourth generation, I would say that, if you have a genetic factor, you're likely to be impacted more so than somebody that doesn't have a risk factor. But I have a very good friend of mine who's here who has no history of diabetes, and her son was diagnosed. So you used to hear it called juvenile diabetes.
That's correct. I remember that.
Right, correct. Even the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation has changed its name now to JDRF, so you de-emphasize the juvenile, because I don't fall in that particular category. And I know many people that are in my age range or above that have gotten diabetes later in life. So it doesn't impact any one particular person or type of person.
Percentage, how many people have diabetes?
So in the U.S. With type 1, there are over 1 million people with type 1 diabetes. On a national scale, you're talking about with type 2, somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 million people with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetic, right? So they've been told by their doctor to monitor, your habits.
A lot of people are pre-diabetic.
A lot of people are pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetics in this country, unfortunately.
So Miami, how many are Miami?
I don't know the actual number in Miami. It's a good question. I can come back to you on that.
It's a good question. Because, you see people with patches. And
yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about the Institute Foundation.
Sure.
What does it do? What's it, and how long has it been around? And who's the volunteer board members? Because
Sure.
You're the CEO.
I'm the CEO of the foundation itself, right? So the Diabetes Research Institute is located on the University of Miami Jackson campus. So it's literally across the courtyard from Sylvester Cancer Center. And
It's right at 12?
Yeah, correct. And it's been there now for 50 years. We have one focus, and it is simply to cure type 1 diabetes. That's it. So we don't do anything when it relates to care or things along those lines. It is simply a function of getting rid of this disease and shutting the lights off. That's what we're there to do. So we have, I mentioned, been around for 50 years. We were started by a group of family members, actually from New York, interestingly enough, that learned of the work of one particular researcher here, Dr. Dan Mintz, who was involved in eyelid cell transplantations. Basically,
in English, what's that mean?
Basically, taking the cells in the pancreas that produce the insulin and transplanting them into a diabetic and allowing them to then remake the insulin themselves.
That's almost like the virus. You put it back inside.
Kind of, sort of. The challenge is that because the immune system still recognizes the beta cells themselves, the islet cells, as a foreign body, right? They will attack it. So what we have been involved in for the past 50 years is trying to figure out a way of how do you encapsulate, right? How do you coat the islet cells so that they can't be attacked by the body and that people can live a normal life. So we've actually been successful in this regard. And I will say that we have found a functional cure for type 1 diabetes. There are people that we have treated with islet cell transplantations that have gone decades without needing insulin, which is wonderful. The challenge is that those individuals have to go on to anti-rejection medication. And at that point, you open up a whole new series of challenges and issues. So we're now in the process of figuring out, can we do islet cell transplantations without having the need for anti-rejection medications? Or are there other pathways to get to a cure? And so we're in the middle of doing that now.
Okay. This office, is that for the state? Is this nationwide?
It's global.
So your office, so that office, people don't go into your office.
They don't come into the foundation office. They come into the institute.
And they come into the institute.
Correct. And at the institute, they're getting clinical care. It's where I actually go for my own clinical care. So just to circle back around how I got to the point that I'm at now at the foundation, I had started going to see my particular endocrinologist at the DRI, 4.5 years ago when I was diagnosed. And several months later, I get a phone call from a recruiter who said, "Hey, we have this position open for the CEO of the Diabetes Research Institute Foundation." And I kind of was confused, and I said, "But isn't it part of the University of Miami?"
I have an appointment tomorrow.
So isn't it part of the University of Miami? I wasn't quite clear as to how the foundation related to the institute. So I said, "I'm not really interested, but I'm really curious to know how this foundation functions." And so we are the primary funder for the institute itself, for the researchers
across the country,
globally. Correct. Yeah, we actually have a federation of institutes that we work with that are on a global scale. Our purpose and point in looking to work on identifying a cure, and our fundamental belief is that it doesn't matter to us where the cure comes from as long as somebody finds it. Right. So our research is open, unlike many organizations or institutions that, will have proprietary rights over whatever they're working on. If somebody wants to come in and look at our research or take what we're doing and advance it, wonderful, great, go do it, find the cure. That is all we care about. So that's kind of a unique situation. And those are the kind of things that drew me to coming into the foundation.
What people don't realize, that medical center, and I don't say Jackson, that medical center is one of the best in the world. Other than Jackson Hospital, you have the diabetes, you have the Miami Project.
That's correct.
You have Bascom Palmer. These are the top of the tops. So people flying all over the world to do all these things. You have people coming in to DRI.
Yes, absolutely. They come in from all around the world to see our researchers, to participate in clinical trials. Certainly, yes.
And so why is DRI for us diabetes research? Why is it so unique?
It is the most comprehensive diabetes research center in the world. And it takes everything from bench research to translational research to clinical research in one building, right? That doesn't typically happen at most institutions. You have to, you'll do the bench research in one place, you'll go somewhere else for something else. Here, the way that the institute was built and continues to function is that it's a collaborative. So the researchers and the scientists all work together as they're looking to actually find a cure. So if you have somebody on the first floor that's working on something and they say, oh, I need to go up to the third floor because I need to, talk to, one of our other researchers about this, you have that open dialogue, which, is unique in terms of its construct. But it was designed that way to help get us to a cure faster.
Yeah. So the foundation is the fundraising.
That's correct.
And then you have the diabetes research team.
Yes.
So there's two teams.
Correct.
Your team is raising money. So when did you start? Did you really start right when the virus hit?
I started January of 2020.
Oh, they gave you 2 months.
So I got a little bit of a head start, and then yes, the virus hit, and my last trip up to New York.
For what? You were going there for fundraising.
For fundraising, and we have an office that's there. The majority of our board members sit in New York as well. So
you do have a few locals, one or two, right?
We have a few locals, correct? Yeah.
Which locals are they?
So Pamela Brilski just joined our board. She's here. She's a wealth manager. She's wonderful, amazing woman. Thrilled to have her. And then Mark Goodman serves locally, as well as Ramon Poo serves here locally too. Rick Tonkinson is another guy. So you probably know Rick.
That's a class act guy. He'll give you a shirt off his back.
100%. So yeah, we have some wonderful board members that are here, national board members. Then we have a Florida or Southeast regional board as well. We have some folks that serve on that.
You have people from Miami on it?
Miami and Broward and Palm Beach that serve on that.
Okay, so you fly to New York. So now how do you raise money? So March to it's been 1 year.
What I would say is we have actually been more successful during the pandemic than pre-pandemic. And part of that had to do with, I think, just the leadership style that I think, I have taken with the team and we have put together. So, initially the thought process was, well, everybody is struggling. We can't go out and start asking for money. So my take or task on that was, and what I said to the team is, we're gonna lead with empathy, and we're gonna reach out to people, because in this time that is really scary, they don't want to hear from a fundraiser picking up the phone saying, "Open up your wallet." But we built relationships with a lot of these individuals and families, and have for decades. And just somebody picking up the phone and saying, "How are you doing right now? Is there anything you need?" Especially in light of everything that you're hearing about COVID, it's always aligned with the comorbidities, right, of diabetes, asthma, and obesity, right? Those are the three things that when they talk about the morbidity rate with COVID,
that is correct,
are always discussed, right? So we took that path
because of the immune system.
Yeah, I don't think they've identified exactly why diabetics are more prone, to the disease in terms of morbidity, but it is terrifying. I will absolutely say that.
So, to people that have diabetes, are they most likely to get the shots earlier?
Interesting to note that diabetics, at least what I've seen in the CDC guidelines, are part of phase 1C. So, the first phase were 65 and older and healthcare workers. We're not even listed until further down in the guidance.
Well, everybody else is going to get them. Hopefully by April, May.
I pray for that. That would be a wonderful turn of events. So
absolutely,
yeah.
Okay, so the COVID, everybody who has diabetes are very nervous.
Yes.
So, again, wear your mask, whether you get your shots or not, wear your mask all the time.
Wash your hands, social distance, absolutely.
I keep forgetting about washing hands, because now, before this, I never washed my hands. Now my hands are raw because it's now I don't even touch doors.
Right.
I try not to touch
elbow.
Right. What's the most important? How much is your foundation? Is it public information? How much you guys raise?
Certainly. Yeah.
Locally and nationwide.
I don't know if I can give you an exact breakdown of how much comes in locally, but this past year we raised nearly, I think we reached over 13 million last year. which was an increase over the year before, which is amazing in terms of the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic. This year, we actually raised more money in December than we did in the year before. So in the middle of a pandemic. So we're having great fundraising success. But I think that's a function of the notion that we are very clear in our messaging in terms of what we're telling people and what we're asking people to do right now in the middle of COVID-19.
Is there the local chapter? Southeast, is it Florida? You said.
So we have a Southeast regional board.
Who's the chair?
Barbara Singer is our regional board.
Where does she live?
She lives in Palm Beach.
Do you have any on that board? Any local people that
we do? So here we have a couple of folks.
These people might not have diabetes; they just want to be involved.
Most people, right? Correct. Although to actually participate, I would say the overwhelming majority have some kind of connection to diabetes, either type 1 or type 2.
Brother, sister, aunt, cousin,
children. A lot of folks have children. So Barbara had 2 children with diabetes, with type 1. Crystal Blaylock, the name may be familiar to you. She's involved in the gasoline industry, fuel industry down here. Lives in Palmetto Bay, actually. She's on our regional board. She has a son with type 1. Marco Selva, who is a hotelier down here, he has type 1. He was diagnosed later in life as well. So it's a great cross section of board members. Ariana Lamosa is on our board too. She works at Jackson. Her daughter has type 1. So you have very, very passionate people who focus their attention on what we're here to do, which is to find a cure.
It's not just, we don't realize how many people it affects. So if you want to get involved, go to diabetesresearch.org and reach out. There's a lot of ways you can help. It's not just money. There's a lot of other ways they can help you, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are a diabetic and you're interested in learning more, I would encourage you to come to the website and learn about even some of the clinical trials that we have in place. We're always looking to recruit folks to participate in clinical trials. That's a really important aspect of how we're going to advance towards a cure more quickly. Equally, we do a number of things that you talked earlier about. Well, how have we pivoted? In the pandemic, one of the things that we had been doing was we would take our researchers out on the road, and we would have them go into people's homes and meet with them to talk about the research one-on-one. Well, we've been able to go virtual with that now. So now we have virtual Meet the Researcher events that we do on a fairly regular basis. So we welcome people to tune into those and to learn and to speak to the researchers firsthand, to learn exactly what it is that they're doing. And that's allowed us to actually expand, right? Instead of having one researcher sitting in somebody's home in Long Island, now we have the ability to go global. So we have people from Australia that are participating, right? On Zoom calls.
When this virus passes in 6 months to a year, a lot of things are going to stick. People want to see people in person,
yes,
but it's now easier just to do a Zoom.
Correct.
And people are used to it. A year ago, and I use Zoom. There's other platforms. So you go, right. I don't want to do that. Now I'm sick of it. I used to wonder why people just put a fake picture up there. It's like, but it's changing.
Yes.
All right. So anybody wants to know about diabetes research, you can write under his name. You can learn more about it. So, but I'm ready for you to learn more about you. Sure. Are you ready?
Sure.
You sure?
Absolutely.
Okay. The challenges.
Okay.
Your favorite taco restaurant? Go.
Taco Rico.
Local guy, Howard Levrant. Here's a new one we just started.
Okay.
Cowboy. Your favorite cowboy movie, cowboy, name it. Go.
Ooh, cowboy movie. What is it? Is it 3:17 to Yuma?
And who's your favorite cowboy? You got one? Like mine was Clint Eastwood. Who was yours?
Favorite cowboy.
That's a new one. This is a new one. All right.
Well, I'll give you my favorite cowboy. Actually, it's a very random fact. Harrison Ford did a movie with Gene Wilder called The Frisco Kid.
I remember that. Tommy, you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Frisco Kids. 3:10 to Yuma. That was it. Yes. Yeah.
Your favorite place to eat chicken?
Oh, Spring Chicken.
Okay. Superhero as a kid?
Oh, as a kid, Batman.
As an adult, do you have a superhero?
As an adult, I'm a Captain America fan.
Okay. Your favorite hot dog place?
Oh, Arbetter's.
I don't know if you saw. We did.
I know you have the Grant Miller hot dog there.
But we did a video. What was it called? Oscar Mayer showed up.
I saw that. I think it was there this weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your favorite pizza place?
Oh, New York Roma.
Where's that?
The one on the old farm stores on 152nd.
I just saw that it's been open for a while.
It has.
It's one block off of US 1.
It's a debate in our house between DiNapoli and New York Roma. We love DiNapoli, the wood-fired, but I will tell you that New York Roma, hands down for me, it's just
US 1, one block east.
Correct.
All old farm stores.
Yes.
Remember, shop local, buy local. Okay. That was hamburgers. That was a hamburger. Oh, give me a hamburger place.
Oh, hamburger place? Fuddruckers.
Fuddruckers. Okay, next one. Your favorite animal? Go.
Dolphin.
A dolphin?
Yeah.
Wow. You got a boat?
I don't have a boat.
Oh.
Always better have a friend with a boat.
That's right. That's exactly right. Your neighborhood, you might have a few.
That's right.
Where do you eat fish? Your favorite restaurant to eat fish?
Golden Rule.
Local owned. Pam and Walter, the Flores family. 2 sons and daughter work there, and cousins. It's a great place.
It's great. I also will throw a plug out there for Captain's Tavern. It's a classic.
Dale is the chef, family member. But in fact, I'm going to be there tomorrow, I think. But regarding Golden Rule, they've been there forever. Mm-hmm. All Palmetto Bay residents.
Yes.
So it's interesting. Okay. How many kids you have?
3.
Kids' birthdays, go.
August 15th, August 18th, and June 24th.
Your wife's birthday?
April 22nd.
Do you have a mother-in-law?
I do.
Birthday?
Yeah, I could tell you.
Anniversary. Your wife's
March 22nd.
How many years you been married?
17.
Now, this is going to be difficult for you.
Okay.
So we will not use a Christmas gift.
Okay.
Your favorite holiday gift as a kid?
Oh, as a kid, I got a remote control race car kit.
How old were you? Do you remember?
I was about 9 years old.
New Year's resolution. I know you have one.
This year, be present.
Oh, I like that. All right, got 3 more questions.
All right.
Sushi restaurant.
Sushi Maki fan. I'm a friend of Abe's. So
there you go, baby.
Gotta go see Abe.
There it is, Sushi Maki, local owned, and Abe happened to went to Palmetto.
He's a 91 grad.
Yeah. Great people.
Yeah,
great people. And his father still works.
Yep.
Okay, favorite football team?
Professional or college?
Both.
So professional, I got to go with the Dolphins, and college, I'm gonna go Canes.
Okay, that's good enough. All right. Before we do, magic of the mix. Why is the diabetes research? Why is it successful? What's the great things about it?
Great researchers coming together in a collaborative fashion with one goal. Many of our researchers are themselves directly impacted by diabetes, by type 1. I've never worked at a place that is so committed and passionate to what it does, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Okay. Now we know everything about you. Last but not least, you have one incredible hobby. Can you talk about your hobby? Because it's crazy. It's like, so talk about your hobby.
So the pandemic, I was traveling quite a bit during my non-COVID years, and when COVID hit, I needed an outlet, and had always really built things at home, but really took an opportunity to take it to the next level, and had started woodworking in a pretty large way. So, whether it's cutting boards or tables or signs for friends, if you have a wood project, I can probably figure out how to do it. It's a ton of fun. It's a great outlet and release. I get a chance to work with my daughter who loves to be in there and help me.
You posted that a couple days ago.
Yep. So she's a great helper for me in the shop, and is much better at staining and painting than I am. So
where did you learn this?
I've always built things. My grandfather was a carpenter, and I've had a lot of family members.
I know some famous carpenter.
There is some famous carpenter. So, it has always been a part of our family. Just the pandemic has allowed us to kind of take it to the next level. So
I have to tell everybody. So I went and bought one of his, what was it called?
A charcuterie board
for a restaurant to use, because I like the logo and I thought he would use it. No, It's anarchy-free. He put it on the wall. He doesn't want anybody to touch it. So it has his logo on it, but that's kind of work you do.
And it's funny because I posted the other day. I had so many people that will buy a cutting board from me, and they'll say it's too beautiful to use. So I said, I made a post that, well, if it's too beautiful, I'll make you another one that's not so nice, and you can use that one and beat up on that one.
Yeah. So it's truly an honor. Thank you very much, Sean, for coming down. Diabetes Research. You go to their webpage, and let's all make a difference. Have a great